Connecting.
Hey there guys, and welcome to EVE Basics. I'm Caldari, and in this video I'm going to go over some of the important concepts and things to know about when you first start playing EVE Online. Specifically, I'll be discussing how your character creation works, what player skills are, and a few other things that you'll need to know right off the bat. So we'll first get started with creating your character. Now, unlike in other games, in EVE Online your character's look and in-game lore background don't affect what you can and can't do in terms of gameplay. Some MMOs restrict different classes to specific character races. In EVE, the game allows you to do anything any other player can do without these sort of restrictions. The first choice you'll ever have with EVE is to choose what your character's background is by selecting one of the 4 factions. These relate to EVE's in-game lore and backstory, and if you're interested in more of that stuff, there's a link in the description below. Primarily, this choice just determines where on the map you start and what your character looks like. The 4 factions are the Ammar, who run a huge religion-driven empire, the Caldari, who are a group whose capitalism has grown to the point where corporations run their governing body, the Gallente, who are more or less space hippies who are all about equality and will push that ideal onto others, and the Minmatar, who are a tribalistic republic that recently formed from the freed slaves after escaping the clutches of the Ammar Empire. Now, there used to be differences in the starting types of skills each race got, but that's been mostly done away with. After choosing the faction you want, you can then choose a bloodline. This again has no real impact on your character stats and just determines your cosmetic look. You can then create your character the way you want them to look from the available choices in the character creator. When finished, you'll then need to determine your profile picture and, more importantly, your character's name. In EVE, a player character's name holds a lot of weight, as the game is designed around interpersonal interaction between the players. Whenever a player or character does something, it is forever linked to that character's name. These include acts such as scamming another player and other sandbox gameplay. For example, my character, Caldari, is forever linked to this video series. When you finish creating your character, you are then put into a space station in what is referred to as a rookie or starter system. These are areas in the game that all new players start in, and they are free from the general sandbox gameplay EVE is known for. One of the first things you need to immediately be aware of, though, is that you should start working on your skill training. Now you may be asking, what does this mean? Unlike other games, EVE has no experience points-based progression system. Destroying an NPC ship or another player's ship garners you no experience points to progress further into the game. Instead, CCP use a time-based system that allows players to train a skill, and after that set amount of time, they can then use whatever modules or ship that skill unlocked. It allows you to train your skills even when you're not playing the game, and has been cited as a way EVE stands out from other MMO games. In the description below, there is a 14-day long skill plan, based around some of the good starter ships and weapons systems a new player can get into very easily. Now, there are out-of-game programs that you can use to track your progress in terms of skill training, but we'll talk about those in a separate video. The way you learn new skills is by the system of acquiring and using skill books. They're an in-game item that you, the player, must acquire, whether it be through the market or any other means. Then you use that to begin training the skill it is directly linked to. For example, if you acquire a Caldari Frigate skill book, assuming you didn't start off as a Caldari character, since each race starts off with their own version of their frigate skill book, you can then inject it and be able to start learning the necessary skills to fly the Caldari frigates. Each skill has up to 5 different levels, and each level unlocks more related skills or increases the effectiveness of the skill being trained. The higher the level of the skill being trained, the longer it takes to complete that level. It's always a good idea never to not be training a skill. This is because the time you could have spent training the skill will be wasted and can never be recovered. Now, there is a concept known as attributes, which can help you speed up the time needed to learn a skill type, but we'll cover that in a different video series as to how mechanics work, and specifically with that, since it's a bit more advanced. For now, you have the basic information about your character and how the skill system works in EVE so you can progress. In the next video, I'll talk about security status and player security standings.
Skill training completed.